treat. Jim Elliot could hardly wait for the visitors to arrive. Today, he was going to meet a group of Auca Indians face to face. His hope was to share the gospel message with these infamous people. It was the culmination of a dream he'd had for years, a dream that had taken months of careful planning. Sunday, January 8th, 1956, was going to be a day to remember, Jim told himself. Since arriving in Ecuador as a missionary in 1952, not a day had gone by that had meant as much to him as today did. Chapter 2. Full Speed Ahead. It was 2:06 p.m., Saturday, February 2nd, 1952, the moment that 25-year-old Jim Elliot had been waiting for. Jim watched from the deck of the Santa Juana as the stern line that held the freighter snugly against the outer harbor dock in San Pedro, California, was released. Behind him he could hear the groan of a tugboat as the ship edged away from its mooring. Trying to suppress a huge grin, Jim leaned against the rail and waved to his parents. He could see his mother dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, and every minute or so his father rubbed a hand over his cheeks. Jim felt a little guilty about being so happy while they were so miserable. His parents were saying goodbye to their youngest son, who was on his way to be a missionary among the Quechua Indians in the jungles of eastern Ecuador, an area shrouded in mystery and superstition. Ever since his first year at Wheaton College in Illinois, where he had graduated with honors, Jim was aware of a strong desire deep inside him to become a missionary. Now, with the throbbing engines of the Santa Juana vibrating the deck on which he stood, Jim was finally on his way to living out his dream. Jim waved again to his parents. His father wore a navy blue suit. His mother had on her best apricot-colored dress and floral hat. Ever since Jim's mother had learned about Jim's desire to be a missionary, she had pointed out that there was plenty of Christian work to do in the United States. Despite his mother's misgivings about his chosen course in life, Jim remembered all the ways his parents had prepared him for what lay ahead. Fred and Clara Elliot had taught all four of their children the value of independence. From an early age, Jim, his older brothers Bert and Bob, and his younger sister Jane had been given more freedom than most children their age. Jim and his friends loved to go camping and fishing for days, sometimes weeks at a time. They would collect enough equipment and supplies at the local thrift store, and then head into the wilderness around Portland, Oregon, where Jim was born and raised. Jim's parents trusted the boys not to get into trouble, and maintained that the trips were a good way for the children to learn responsibility. Jim's parents also believed that children should work for what they had. There were no free handouts in the Elliot household. There wasn't a lot of money to go around anyway. Jim's father was an evangelist for the Plymouth Brethren Church, and his mother was a chiropractor who worked out of the family home. To make extra money, Jim's older brother Bert had begun recycling long before it became commonplace to do so. Every Saturday, Bert would drive his old truck to the city dump where he, Jim, and Jim's friend Dick Fisher would rummage through the trash looking for anything that could be resold. The trio would collect bottles and cans and anything else that might have value. They also found items they kept for themselves, such as bricks to build a backyard barbecue with, an old but useful couch, even a bear skin with the head still attached. Jim found a set of strange tools that someone at school told him were used for taxidermy. He was so fascinated by the tools that he took lessons in how to stuff animals. The first thing he stuffed was one of the pesky seagulls that dive-bombed him at the dump. The Elliot children's friends had always been welcome in the Elliot home, and with 4 children, a constant procession of young people marched in and out of the house. Over the years, many missionaries had also visited and stayed with the family. During dinner, Jim would often ask these visitors questions.